Good morning and welcome to another episode of RoadFS Detail Memoirs. I'm Jody.
And I'm Puzey. And as always, RoadFS Detail Memoirs is sponsored by RoadFS, the software that drives your business. And today we have one of our featured vendors.
That's it, baby. Clint Hintz from Buff and Shine Manufacturing.
Right.
So,
good morning, guys.
Good morning. We're super excited to have you on board. It seems like it was just the other day that we were seeing each other in Orlando, Florida. Yeah. And even then, it was so busy that it was hard to really get together and visit with a lot of people that you normally get to. So
yeah, it was good to see you guys that day.
It was a surprise to see you guys down in Melbourne. So.
Well, there, I think your microphone a little tricked out. Talk to me again. Let's see if you're going to give me the robot sounds again. Yep. No, we're hearing you. So let's just pop it out and we'll go normal. So I lost your audio.
Is that better now?
Yes, yeah, there we go.
We're back on.
We'll just go from there. So
yeah, we actually got the opportunity to spend, a little bit of time at Mobile Tech, but then we got to spend a whole day at Justin's JL showroom, which was nice there too.
Yeah, lots of surprises, especially that first day, just to see you guys there. And then I was in the parking lot getting something out of the van, and who beeps the horn, pulls up? Jason Rose. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, we had a great lineup. There was a great number of attendees there. I think there were about 12 guys there.
Yeah, for the one day.
Yeah, for the one day extreme one day training with it was Justin Labato, Rennie Doyle was there. You guys were there.
Jason Rose. I mean, there was a whole myriad of people. The guys got a lot of information that went to that one day training. That was more than a one day training wrapped up in one day.
Absolutely. When they say extreme, they say that for a reason, because there was a ton of information that was on both days. I was very impressed.
Yeah. So how did you get into the detailing industry? Let's go back to when you were young and hungry.
Well, I think like a lot of us, I grew up in a car family. My father was a mechanic, so we always had cars, always. My niche really wasn't fixing them, but I did find a niche in seeing clean. And so I started as a teenager. My dad was a mechanic at the Clinto station, and he had an extra bay in there, and he started just saying, "Hey, you're coming to the garage with me on Saturday? You got a detail to do." So shortly after that, even before I could drive, he got me a job, and I remember I learned to buff with a rotary, one speed. I think it was a Black & Decker. And I learned on a single stage short bus that was outside. So it really brings up to where my passion is for training, because I was always looking for something different. How can I make it better? Why are these swirls coming back? Why does the carpet stink still? But, if there was training back then, how to get it. So it really kind of started my drive to just want to do better and better and better. And I've been very fortunate to be able to work with different companies through the last 2 decades. So that's really kind of how I got started. When I went into college in the early 90s, I started cleaning cars, sometimes at night. It was typically per car. I paid by the car. It's kind of funny, too. I remember my young days. I was 18 or 19. I know a lot of you may know Detail Billy Smith. He's in Akron, Ohio. We used to clean cars together. We would start in a family, and I would go to school, and we would sit and talk, and it's just really nice now that has the APD, Akron Pro Detail, a very successful detail shop. It's neat to see you can grow in this space. You can do different things, and try to keep trying to do more, and that's what I did.
Nice.
So after that, I went to the auto auction. I worked at an Odessa, where I ran that recon shop for 3 years. Very demanding, very long hours. But I will tell you, I learned so much through those years. And sometimes, guys that are our age, we look back and we go, boy, that was hard work. But it got us something. There was a reason for that to happen. So as I was still going to school, this is 98, I was approached by my auto magic teacher. His name is Rick Dove out of Cleveland, and he said, "Hey, Auto Magic House is looking for an auction trainer." And I said, well, I've only been on it once. I don't like country music. I don't wear cowboy boots. I'm probably not going to do it. But actually, that's really when my professional career started. And I threw my stuff in a two-door Tempo with 200,000 miles, and I drove down to Dallas, and that's when my career for 15 years started with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now let's pause right there for just a second. So you're doing that stuff. Where did you see, with that experience at that time frame, where did you see the industry?
It was very different back then, and unless you were really there, it's hard because to really explain. There wasn't a lot of innovation, even though we thought there was innovation. I mean, the last 6 years has been like 100 times. I mean, it's just overwhelming sometimes of all the new things that are out there now. But
yeah,
it was a lot of rotary buffers, compounds. You know, back then there wasn't really magic sauce. Everybody had, you know, a lot of good products. I could never go sit with anybody and say, I'm going to show you how to do a perfect paint.
Right.
But what I could do is learn from a lot of the best in the industry through those years. You know, I had some Sid McGee, if you remember him from 3M, and Rick Schmidt I worked with at Auto Magic. And, you know, you learn. So it wasn't really, it was really just trying to focus on how to reduce the problems that may happen.
Right. So the funny part about that is that that Black & Decker single speed, I still have one in my bottom drawer. So that's actually the first machine I ever got, is a Black & Decker single speed rotary.
Yeah.
And when I got it from a guy, and you're going to everybody's going to cringe, but it was the one where, you know, you put the pad on and you tie the pad on. It had the string around the outside. Well, the pad kept coming off, so he literally stapled the pad, and he's just don't push hard, and the staples won't hit the paint.
Don't push hard.
I do have squirrels, Rod.
Yeah, those aren't squirrels. Those are scratch marks. So I literally pulled this pad off and pried all this stuff. I still have it. It's in the bottom drawer, and I laugh at it every time.
Wow.
I call it like the drawer of shame. But anyway,
that's funny. So I mean, you've obviously seen a lot over the years. Is there one or two things that you think have really changed the industry?
Yeah, I mean, especially, you know, like I was saying, these last, you know, 4 to 6 years, the tools, the polishing systems, the pads. You know, I never really honestly would have said that you could do perfect paint. And when I say perfect, I mean to our eyes.
Right.
You know, you take some isopropyl alcohol, you wipe it on almost every surface, it takes everything off, and you see what you really got. And then when I started to see these newer dual action machines, and, you know, starting with Flex first, the Beast, and then Rupus and other companies, I think machines kind of changed what polishing compound manufacturers had to do, and then obviously the pads had to do. So that would be what I would say would be the thing I've seen. And I think it's creating a lot of opportunity for detailers to not give their labor away.
Yeah.
That forever. How much to do that car? $85. Whatever. You know, now you can promise perfect paint, and some people, a fraction of those people will pay for it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's you know, specifically about pads, because that's really, you know, what you guys are focused on right now. Some of the things that we've noticed, you know, with Jody and I being able to be on projects like Air Force One, working on raw aluminum, you can really see what your pad and product combination do. I mean, you can take a microfiber, the one that everybody called the Buff and Shine, that people call the salt and pepper, you know, the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So you take one of those and you put on a compound, but then you turn around and take that same compound and use like a Euro wool, and you get a different response from that other pad, you know, even to the point of you putting a mid-range pad in between, you know, the backing plate, and then there's just so many differences that you see with that. And I guess, the obvious question that a lot of people would ask is, well, where do you see that ending? And I guess the thing that I look at, somebody asked us the other day, where do you see that innovation ending? And I'm like, I see it never ending. I mean, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have had microfiber pads.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that was something, that super soft compound, that product with being a super soft to the touch, that it would be such a non-soft, I guess is the best. I don't know how to describe it. You're taking a soft. It's the same thing as wool. Wool is very soft to the touch, but it's very harsh. When you're putting it on there, and somebody that doesn't know that, it's like, oh, this is soft. Not compared to those white jeweling pads.
Oh yeah, definitely. The pad technology is just, I hate it that we have so many pads. I really do, because I know sometimes it's overwhelming. And there are companies out there that they make a system. And I think they're great. Here you use this with this pad. I think it's very smart. But I think you get into a lot of these they want to build their own system. And I think it's not always just Clint, what compound works good with, or what pad works good with Menzerna compound. I don't always know. And that's where you're testing then. Back in the day, you put on what you did and you start buffing, and then you fix the next step. And now you try to get your system together before you do the whole car with that touch button. And I think that's where, what machine am I going to use? What am I going to use? What polishing system I can start with?
Yeah. And different paints have different properties too. You've got really brittle paints, like a GM paint that's unbelievably brittle, like you flick it with your finger and it just about cracks. And then you take something like a single stage paint and put the same, you're not going to use the same combination. I know that on a project I'm working on, I've got a single stage paint I'm putting on this pickup, and I've got some of the areas I'm using just a regular, the tiny flex rotary polisher, and that wool pad, the Buff and Shine wool pad on that small rotary with next to no pressure whatsoever is fabulous. I mean, absolutely fabulous. Whereas if I were to take my Flex 3401 and hit that thing with microfiber, I'm burning through the paint. I mean, it's you got to be really careful. And I think that's just an individual thing. And I think if you ask 10 different detailers what their go-to combination, and we've talked to a lot of detailers over the past several years, they would say it depends on the paint, it depends on the year of the car, is it a boat, what are you working with? So every combination has a different thing. It can be confusing, but it's also very refreshing to know that in 99% of the cases, there's a combination that works.
There is. I think a lot of it's preference too. I mean, I will not use a fiber. I won't use a wool or a microfiber. I'm a foam guy or gal. Nothing wrong with that.
Right. No, there's not. And there's some great pads. I mean, the maroon one that you guys put out is a pretty aggressive pad, and in most cases that's going to work. I know that I've got a situation where I had no compound whatsoever, and I just had a couple of pads, and I'm like, this is not going to do crap. I mean, I'm using a polish. There's no way stuff, and it comes out. I was able to actually correct some paint with a combination of a maroon, the blueberry, and then a jeweling pad with the same polish. And it was a polish. It was not a compound. And I was able to actually bring a lot of the stuff out. It's not 100%, but I was able to bring a lot of the stuff out there. And it's on a base coat, clear coat, older car, 2000 car. It wasn't anything new. So
yeah.
So let's
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. You're about to say something cool.
I was just going to say, I don't know about it's cool, but that maroon pad, it's a great pad. And what kind of throws people off is it doesn't feel super aggressive. When you feel it, it's an open cell pad. So, our lighter blue one that's more aggressive than that, it feels like a brush.
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of guys and gals do, like that pad, is, it cuts very well per touch. I would feel.
Yeah, I know, like when we've talked to Justin Labato in the past, I mean, he's really good about understanding which pad for which compound and which scenario.
Yeah.
What are your suggestions for a detailer, to gain that type of knowledge so that they know which pads to leverage in which scenarios?
Well, you just call Justin and I'll give you his phone number right now.
Yep.
He'd get a lot of calls, I'm sure.
Yes, I'm sure he does. He's a good guy. He's a great part of the team. Training and you know, training, you know, you got the internet now. You have, you know, YouTube now. There are so many avenues to be able to learn more without actually have to get on an airplane or go someplace. I love training. And that's why I went to watch Justin Rennie. You know, I've been training for decades, and I had pages of notes of things that I didn't know. So, you know, training is key, and there's a lot of avenues to be able to find that. But for us in particular, you know, we try to do a lot of events. We do videos, our sites, things like that. And then,
Yep.
you know, my gosh, if you Google Justin or on YouTube, you'll find all kinds of stuff on that.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of hint around. I know that we've done some talking with you guys. Going to kind of preview for everybody that's watching this. There are going to be some things coming up that we're partnering on. We are very, very thankful for Buff and Shine. They have done some stuff where we're going to use them as a featured supplier. We're going to be doing some projects here at some local shops, and we're going to be using some Buff and Shine products, as well as some other vendors like PNS, Rennie Doyle, Double Black Line.
IGL.
We have IGL. We have some people flying into town. So we're going to be doing a couple projects. And specifically, we want to make sure people understand this is not a video to critique anybody's product. This is a video where we are showing you how trained detailers go about doing something to help people understand why you would want to go to a trained detailer in the first place, and to show you what can be brought back. For instance, one of the projects is Jody's boat. It's a mess.
It's a little hazy.
It is. It's a pink boat that used to be red. It's so
Not quite
hazy.
pink, but it's
So
getting there.
we're going to try to bring it back. We're also going to be using, doing some stuff on my 2000 Saab convertible. That is a one-off car. So we're not just using run-of-the-mill cars. My car is a 1 in 47 produced. Wow. So we're gonna go and do some correcting and some stuff to the roof. We've got a bunch of people involved. So if you are a supplier that wants to be involved and wants to donate either time or products or money or whatever to educating people about detailing products and procedures, then get a hold of us, and we would love to have you as a featured vendor and do that. So anyway, quick preview with it.
Yeah, we're excited about it. So let's talk about your role at Buff and Shine. I mean, we see, you know, the recognizable faces on YouTube and all that, but there is a complete army. And the leadership team at Buff and Shine is just phenomenal. So let's talk about you, your role, some exciting things that maybe are happening with Buff and Shine coming up in 2020.
Sure. Yeah, we, you know, I was very excited. I had talked to Clinto, who's the owner of Buff and Shine, throughout the years, trying to put this together. It finally did come together, and it was a really exciting time with having Justin Labato on and the demo team. And I don't know if everybody's familiar. We have what we call a demo team, and they are basically successful business owners, geographically different places around the country. And instead of me going outside and buffing on half the hood and saying it's a good pad, now we have a way to put these pads in the real world, not a half a hood. And that's really one of the keys of our success in these last couple of years, is able to make a pad that we can give out right now and know that it works, not before it works, but because our demo thinks it works. And that's really, really cool to be on. My role, really, I cover the eastern part of the United States, and my role is really obviously is to find distributors and stimulate those sales. I had such a presence out west because I did a lot of sales out west when I was involved for years. I have the ability to go out there, but working with Julio it's amazing. I just work well together. He's a hard worker. We have a great team, and that's a great thing. Is, you know, you may be able to sell a great product, be a good sales, but if you don't have a good, that's not as motivated. You know, I'm very with Buff and Shine team, and we're just kicking butt.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they're like pushers, by the way, your team. So, I mean, let's just put it this way: I've ended up with more equipment because of your guys. And I tell, like, for instance, Kyle Clark, I owned the small rotary because of Kyle Clark. Chatting with him, he's playing with the pads, and he starts flipping them at me, and he's like, well, these were used at the show, I can't keep them, I have to get rid of them. So he's throwing them at me. I'm like, what am I going to do with these? The next thing you know, I'm buying a polisher and a bunch of used pads, and then I got to buy new pads because these are used. And I'm like, Kyle, you're like some kind of a pad pusher, you know, you give me just enough to get me going.
That's okay. He's indirectly selling for RoadFS and Flex. He has to go buy the polisher.
You gotta go buy the polisher to match. So anyway.
He's helping the entire industry. So
well, I say to all the tool manufacturers, you know, keep making tools, because when you make tools, we make more pads.
Yeah,
that's right. That's awesome.
Well, and they are just to give an idea. There are so many pads. We got a sample of the Buff and Shine line. There were 5 boxes in this office. Boxes. I'm going to post a picture on the internet after this. I'll post it out to Facebook and Instagram. There's 5 full boxes, and there's like one of every pad. I mean, it's just insane how much stuff there is. And there's stuff that Sydney and I were going through. I'm like, what is this? She's like, I don't even know what that is.
When I interviewed with Richard, the owner, he said to me, you know what, I want to know what you think of the pad. And I said, I told him a little bit of this and that. And I said, but I do have one thing. Why didn't all you pad manufacturers get together in the late 80s or 90s and say, hey, let's get one color? Honestly, not to be confused, it's just not really how it works. The times provided in certain colors. So, but it's there is a lot of pads, but in a way that keeps you in my job.
Oh yeah. Well, you can see people that have used different pads because it's like a pad savant, right? You go up, you pick up the pad, you close your eyes, you ignore the color, and you're like, yeah, that one's pretty harsh. And then you pick up the next one, you're like, okay, that one's a jeweling pad. And you're like, oh, this is white,
Oh man,
it's a lot of fun though. It really is a lot of fun. Our social media has been really strong. I'm not a big social media guy. Not on Instagram, so I'm behind the times. I get a lot of folks. They say, we like how you represent. We like how you guys do social media, and that's what we want to do. Obviously, we're trying to sell pads, but we're trying to push. We're trying to be on that cutting edge when it comes to buffing. We don't do liquids. We don't do machines. We just want to be the best.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
No pun intended. They're on the cutting edge.
They are on the cutting edge. And hopefully it's not too deep of one with staples on the back of it.
Just staples. It's fantastic.
You always come up with some weird stories.
I've got some weird crap in the wall of shame. Has some weird crap on it.
So if you had any if you were to suggest 1 or 2 things for detailers that were really trying to up their skill, up their business, what are the things that you would recommend that they do?
Well, I mean, there's lots of different things. We kind of talked about the video part of it. There's a lot of videos out there. There's also just an enormous amount of growing tools. There's places that you can go to now. Majestic Solutions, Professional Detail Memoirs. I mean, I'm missing 100 of them, but there are go. And I think a lot of that are definitely with the IDA, the National Detailing Association. I think it's important. It might not be for everybody, but I think it's a great guide to direct you to what you are looking for. Okay, I say there's 2, how do you find it? The idea can help you find things like that. But that is definitely one thing. Invest in yourself, in your business, invest in your career. I will never stop utilizing training if I see it, especially now. It just, a lot of it that's just honestly gets past me a little bit. I'm like, Justin on that one.
Yeah, you get to those points too, right?
Yeah, that's good. So how do people find you, or do they interact with the distributor? Because, there's a lot of new guys. They don't necessarily know how to connect with the right people. So how do they learn about Buff and Shine? Where do they go? Who do they go to?
Well, we definitely obviously are on all the social media sites, but www.buffandshine and spelled out.com. And that's our website. The way to navigate to see our product line. And then, you know, like I said, social media, I can always be reached. Anybody to reach me. My email is Hintz, H-I-N-T-Z, at buffandshine.com. I will always help anybody out that I can. It's not about a buff and I love this industry. It's been good to me. And I am always hoping to try to get back and get back. And, you know, like we've been talking about, is the key. You know, you can't think you know it all.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's awesome. The other, again, just as a reminder, also, if you want to know more about some of the Buff and Shine stuff, and again, we will not be critiquing them, but we will be using a lot of their products. And if people have questions about them, shoot the questions to us. I mean, if for some reason you can't magically find buffandshine.com,
I don't know how you could do that,
but shoot it to us and we'll get it passed on because, you know, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of products out there, but you guys, I just love how open you guys are. Everybody on the leadership team has just been like open arms, whatever you guys need. And yeah, we just love to be involved with you guys because you're just the kind of people we'd like to rub elbows with.
And one of the areas that you guys that are new to detailing or really trying to up your game, Buff and Shine will be at the Southern Detailers Conference along with us. So that's June 13th and 14th. So make sure that you look that up, put it on your schedule. I know everybody's getting into the detailing season. And, you know, so it's sometimes hard to carve out that time for yourself and your business, but it really, really is critical. I mean, you know, I go back to that extreme one-day training. You know, I went to one, Rod and I went to one in Salt Lake, and then we went to the one at Melbourne, and it was amazing the difference in the things that I learned, the things that Justin emphasized versus what Rennie emphasized in Salt Lake. And man, I walked away going, wow, I learned some new things. So very, you know, very worth the time to invest in yourself to get that training. So
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will be at the Southern Detailers Conference. I'd love somebody wants to stop by and ask some thoughts.
That's good.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate those that tune in. This will be shared on YouTube and, of course, the podcast. So if you're not live today, we will refactor it and repurpose it and get it to where you can get this awesome knowledge. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Remember, RoadFS is the software of choice to run your detailing business. Whether you're on the retail or the wholesale side, we got you covered. And as always, thank you, Clint, for joining us. And those of you that are watching, we will check you next week, same time, same bad channel, only with the different guests, Mr. Jason Rose. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
All right.
Thank you so much. I'm very honored. It was really good talking to you, and I look forward to seeing you guys out there again sometime.
Thank you, man.
Thanks, Clint.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, I'm done.